Today we're going to be taking a look at this. It's the Zhiyun Tech Smooth Q, a 3-axis stabilizer gimbal for your smartphone. The last few years have seen a wealth of these 3-axis gimbal stabilizers for DSLR cameras, compact system cameras, and of course for smartphones like we've got here. And the Zhiyun Tech Smooth Q is one of the latest. Now it bears more than a passing resemblance to the DJI Osmo Mobile, and I've got one of those with me as well, and we'll take a closer look at the differences between the two later on. But first, let's see exactly how we set up the Smooth Q. So this is an iPhone 7 Plus, and it's about the largest size of phone you can use in the Zhiyun Tech Smooth Q. So it uses this sprung clamp here just to hold the phone in place, and it slots in just like this. You've got to make sure you get it the right way round with the camera just on this side here. Now, once you've set up, you have to balance it. Now, I've obviously been using this, so it's quite well balanced already, but let's set it as it would come in the box, and it's just going to tilt like that. And there we have it. It's pretty well balanced, and obviously I've not turned it on or anything at all yet. And we just have to press the record button there for a few seconds and it should power on. And there we have it. It's balanced now with the iPhone. And as I move it around, you can see that it keeps it nice and stable. So it comes in 4 different colors. It's available in black, gray, pink and gold. So I had a 50-50 chance of getting a nice color, and yeah, I ended up with a gold one. Let's talk about the battery in this thing because it is huge. It's a 26,650 milliamp hour battery that will give you up to 12 hours of operation. Compare that to the DJI Osmo Mobile, which as standard comes with just a 980 milliamp hour battery, but that battery does last for 3 hours. Now the Zhiyun Tech can be charged via micro USB just there, and with such a huge battery it also has the power here to be able to charge your smartphone. However, rather inconveniently, if you're an iPhone user, of course you charge at the bottom here, which is going to be pressed into the side of the holder, which means you can't actually charge it whilst you're using it, at least not on an iPhone. This is the main control area. There is a joystick here which can be set up to control the different motors on here along the different axes, and at the moment I've got it set up to control the tilt, and you get a nice smooth motion using this controller. There is a start and stop record button which you use obviously when you're using the Zhiyun Tech app. And there is also a zoom control as well. Again, when you're using the app, you can actually zoom the camera in and out directly from the joystick, which is a pretty neat trick to be able to have. Then there is this mode button, which replaces the trigger button on the DJI Osmo, which doesn't feature on this. So by default, the mode button will keep the camera perfectly straight and it will follow you as you rotate around. But if I tilt up and down, it will maintain the camera facing forward at all times. When you press it twice, it activates follow mode. So now when I tilt down, the camera, the phone will also tilt with me, but in a very smooth motion. Now when you press it 3 times, it will switch around into selfie mode so that you can film yourself and keep it nice and steady. Press it another 3 times and it will flip back to the same mode. So basically it has got many of the features of the DJI Osmo, they're just in slightly different places. So the final thing to talk about is the fact it has a tripod socket on the bottom of the handle. I've got it with a little Manfrotto pocket tripod there, and it makes it great for just resting on a table if you're doing things like this. If you were live streaming for Facebook or YouTube, pop this on and you're good to go. Now there's obviously an app, it's called ZY Play, it's available for iOS and for Android, and when you open it, it's very, very familiar, they've basically copied it. So to connect the device, it does it via Bluetooth, so you have Bluetooth on your phone turned on, and if you set it up before, it should automatically connect. And there it is, up and running. Now there's various features that you can change from within the app. So you have a slow motion mode, a time-lapse mode, there's a moving time-lapse mode where you can set an A point and a B point and have the gimbal pan round slowly from one point to another, also whilst shooting a time-lapse image. Now there is also a subject tracking mode. This is going to be a little bit tricky to activate when I'm not facing, but let's see if I can do it. So now that's activated, it's set up to track my face, or at least a portion of it. So as I move around talking to you, perhaps giving this demo and moving my head up and down and all around, the Smooth Q will actually track that motion. This is something that the DJI Osmo Mobile also does. Now, anecdotally, I found that the Osmo Mobile does a great job of responding very quickly and trying to keep your head dead in the center. The Smooth Q in its default settings is a lot smoother. It's less concerned with being dead on in exactly the same position in the frame. And I think personally, for me, that creates a more kind of natural movement, which hopefully you can see as it's moving around with me. When it comes to performance, I did notice that when you use the iPhone 7 Plus and the Smooth Q with the ZY Play app, the footage is very shaky and jittery. Now, after a bit of research, I found that this is because the iPhone 7 Plus and other recent iPhones use optical stabilization. And it seems that the optical stabilization just uses a floating element, and it doesn't seem this element can be locked into place. So it just kind of wobbles around and actually acts against what the Smooth Q is trying to stabilize. Now, when I switched to using the iPhone 7 Plus with a DJI Osmo Mobile and the DJI Go app, it's actually a similar story, although the DJI Go footage is a little less jittery. Now, to get the best footage from both the Smooth Q and the DJI Osmo, I found that it's best to use the native Apple iPhone camera when recording video. It obviously properly functions with both the optical and electronic stabilization of the iPhone 7 Plus, and it offers the smoothest video with the Smooth Q. It's pretty good, but you do lose some of the cool tracking features. But purely if you want the best, smoothest video footage, use the iPhone app rather than the ZY Play app. Now, obviously for phones that don't have optical stabilization, none of this will be an issue at all, and you should get this great looking footage from the ZY Play app itself. So let's go through quickly some of the differences. First off, the Smooth Q has a sprung clamp to hold your phone. This lever on the back is actually for rotating this round so that you can shoot in a portrait orientation if you're doing something like Facebook Live or perhaps Instagram stories, something along those lines. Now, the Osmo uses a screw clamp. I've heard some people say that this is actually easier for getting the phone on one-handed. Personally, it's much for much. I really wouldn't make too much into it. There is one thing though about the Osmo, it's cold to touch, it's solid and metal. The buttons too on the Osmo, everything just feels a lot better, nicer for want of a better word. The Osmo has replaceable batteries which you can swap out when they run down, rather than the built-in one of the Smooth Q. However, with almost a 12-hour usage life, this is certainly going to last you for a few days shooting, if not longer. The Osmo ones you'll have to swap out every few hours, no huge concern. The Osmo app is perhaps a little bit more advanced, however, Zhiyun Tech have virtually copied it. Nearly all of the features you can find, including the individual controls of the motors and their speed and precision, you can change in the Zhiyun Tech ZY Play app, just as you can in the DJI Osmo app. I found the Osmo to be a bit more responsive when you're doing the tracking. So if you're talking to camera, personally I prefer the Smooth Q. If you're tracking somebody running or more sort of sports, that type of thing, then the DJI is probably going to be the better option. So my verdict on the Smooth Q, it does feel cheap, it does feel plasticky, and that is because it is cheap, it is affordable if you want to get out there and start shooting. The build quality of the DJI Osmo Mobile is certainly better. However, also the Smooth Q has the advantage of being able to charge your phone when it's not in use, and it has a ridiculously long battery life. So that's it, the Zhiyun Tech Smooth Q. I'll put some more details down in the description below, including some links to the official website. Hopefully you found this video useful and you liked it. If you have, please just hit the like button. It means a lot to all of us on this channel. We really appreciate all of your support. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so that you can keep up to date with reviews like this one and all the latest photo gear news.